Hi everyone, so I'm just going to run you through this initial design, which is not a final and finished design, but it should be sufficient for the workshop to quote. I will issue 2D drawings. I've got lots of screen grabs, and I will try and do some presentation images for your client Kornel, but I am very pushed for time and I don't have a room that I can put this in and make it look great. But let's see how we get on with what I've got so far. So, shoe storage. Let's just start. Let's take you through the basics. I'm going to hide that door. We've got shoe racks on oak boxes with oak staves supporting the shoes. I'm going to be switching this on and off. So we've got oak staves in an oak box. When we've had these drawer boxes from the workshop in the past, it's unfinished oak. It probably could have a light satin seal, but it's nice solid oak, and they look good with a fairly sort of plain, simple finish, just something to resist staining and marks. I need to work on the detail of these positions. This is a size 5 shoe, so I'm going to need to know a little bit more about what shoes we are storing, what size they are, what styles they are. I generally leave 250 millimeters for shoe storage. And I can see from this already that there is room for improvement on this. So let's assume 250 millimeter heights. It might be that we've got 5 at the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might be that we go to 4 with them all being bigger, or perhaps just 1 or 2 of them being a slightly different size. Storing ladies' flats, ladies' stilettos, ankle boots, trainers, they're all very different. It's best to store them in similar classes of shoe. So then what happens? Above chest height, there is no point continuing with horizontal drawers because you can't see into them, you can't reach into them. So we switch to this vertical carrying method, and these will be on this type of slider. Kornel, we saw some of these big kitchen cabinet sliders. We've used those recently on another project, but these will be smaller, less load-bearing products. Hopefully they'll be sort of nicely over-spec'd so that they maintain their positions nicely. Now, underneath, I want to come back to this piece here, this thick 50 millimeter piece. I'll come back to that in a bit. But first of all, let's just talk a little bit more about design. At the moment, we have a pre-made carcass. It's got some drawers or something in the lower half. Kornel's going to take all of that out, and we will be left with essentially a bare carcass with doors on it. The carcass is a kind of a light grey. The doors look like they could be a sort of a mid-oak type veneer. We have these pieces in place, the header and the footer there, and what I'm suggesting is that we don't attempt a colour match to the carcass. We can do anything we want here, so it can be a plain beige, a grey, a texture, all sorts of things. I would avoid attempting to colour match to the oak. I don't think we should have timber here. I think that will be difficult to do and it will look too busy. We can get close to the grey, but it's nothing special, so I would say let's just do a nice off-white or a cream or something in there. You'll notice that the new units, this is all new cabinets here. These are set back by about 70 millimeters. That is to allow for the hinge bodies, and all of this needs to be checked. What have we actually got on site here? And normally where I've got a moving component, if we look down here in this bottom corner, if we've got a moving component moving past a hinge, I've generally left about 30 millimeters for that to get past the hinge and to get past the swinging edge of the door there. Okay, that's why we have that gap here. Now what that means is generally the fitting is relatively easy, because if we put the carcass, the existing carcass, the on-site carcass, we make that transparent, you can see that we have plenty of room for manoeuvre on the inside. So we can bring these finished carcasses, we've got two carcasses, we've got a high one and a low one. We can bring these into site as finished pieces, push them in, then we fit these scribing pieces left and right, and the install should be fairly uncomplicated. It's probably worth me doing a site visit and getting really accurate final measurements for everything, the hinge bodies, everything like that. They might not be Blum hinges, they could be a different manufacturer. So let's get rid of the existing carcass. Let's hide that for the moment and look at the new carcasses. We've got a lower carcass and an upper carcass. In the lower carcass we have simple drawers with oak staves to catch the heel and toe of the shoes. Details need to be worked out of that. I'm showing 5, it might be 4, it might be 5. Then we have the vertical storage here, and we have this thick 50mm piece here. Now the reason for that is that I want a completely inflexible, unmoving surface that these units are mounting on, because it's a mistake I've made in the past. If you have divisions or splits in the middle of a carcass, that can cause sagging in the middle, and if that middle bit sags, these gaps will close up at the top. It could happen over years, you know, it might happen the day you install it, but we want a completely, I'm going to hide that carcass, we want a completely inflexible slab of material there. Now that could be 50mm MDF, it could be 2 pieces of ply, it could even be a piece of MDF with a piece of angle iron buried out of sight on the underneath. I do not want any flexibility in that section. Okay, I think that is everything. We've talked about colour matching, we've talked about 2 carcasses, this inflexible lump in the middle. You could screw through that into the existing carcass, but the load of that slab and the load of the carcass above could easily be carried by this unit. There wouldn't be any structural reason to secure that to the existing carcass, although it might be a nice thing to do. Let's get the original carcass back on view. I have shown a 20mm gap between the upper carcass and the existing carcass. That's just going to leave you plenty of room to get, you know, to get it assembled easily. There's no point making life difficult. I haven't shown let's just push that back in. I haven't shown a scribe along the top. There will be one, that will be necessary. So this facing part will continue around here. Okay, I think that's everything. I hope that is enough to understand the design, for the client to start asking a few questions, commenting on a few likes and dislikes, thinking about finishes and colours, and it's certainly enough to get the project costed from a manufacturing point of view. Okay, thanks for your time.